don't forget to subscribe.
Let's go to Laura in Texas as our last caller. Laura, thanks so much for waiting patiently. You're on the hang up. How can we help?
Hey, I've heard you guys basically answer my question 3 times already. Everybody seems to have the same question. How do you deal with your family?
Yeah, family's
so
awful
I
and
am,
great.
I'm going to do what a lady never does. I'm 45 years old, and I have just recently deconverted. And my parents don't know, and I am honestly afraid it would kill my dad if I told him. He has a history of heart attacks. So,
then don't.
Fortunately, at 45 years old, having had an excessively Baptist background, I'm really good at playing the church game.
Yes.
So it doesn't really come up around them. But it's gonna, and I just don't know how to do it.
Biggest thing, let your family know this isn't personal. This isn't about them. You still love them. You are just not convinced of what they are. And if your parents are anything like my parents, the best thing you can say to them, well, I'll tell you a couple things that I said that were helpful. One, no amount of testimony of how their life was changed is ever going to change my mind. But if they believe that God wants me to know he exists, and they believe that God answers prayer, then the best thing they can do is pray for God to reveal himself to me, because that everything happens according to God's plan. So if I'm not a believer right now and they think that it's God's plan for me to be a believer, then they should keep praying to God that he reveals himself.
Yeah. Well, if God had wanted me to stay a believer, then God would have healed my eyes because I can't read anymore, and God would have got me a better job last summer when he said he wanted me to be a teacher. So,
or even
God,
more, maybe he wouldn't have been the
answer for.
Yeah, maybe it's better if he wasn't the all-time world champion of hide and go seek.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, God's got a lot to answer for if he ever shows up.
Yeah.
Yep.
I agree, Laura. I mean, you sound like me when I was finding my way out. I think you're going to be fine, but I'm glad you called in today when we got Darrel on. We're talking about recovering from religion, because if you go to recoveringfromreligion.org, there's the counseling hotline there, and there's people you could talk to. Plus, you're in Texas. I mean, I don't know how far you are from Austin, but I know some really good communities in the Texas area.
I'm in San Antonio, so it's not too far. I'm concerned about my son as well. He's a disbeliever as well, and he's 14, and so I'm trying to. We're on the same team, and I just don't want to isolate him any more than he already feels isolated as a 14-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Do you feel like this might isolate him from his grandparents? Is that what you're afraid of?
Yeah, there's a long list of things. We don't tell my mom how much time I spend reading Harry Potter, etc. She said, like I said, I had an excessively Baptist childhood, so there's just a long list of things we don't tell my mom.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, though. Given the choice between not upsetting your parents and protecting your kid, I'm assuming your kid wins every day and twice on Sunday.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. And I would hope that if you were to have that conversation with your parents, that they would understand, because I'll tell you, even as fundamentalist as my parents are, when they've come in conflict with, like other family members and their kids, their whole thing is God has a plan. God gives us free will. It's not their job to necessarily fix everybody. So they will be disappointed forever that I'm working for Satan and leading people to hell, which is what they think. But they also recognize that they have no way to rebut that this is God's plan. And at the end of the day, you have leverage. I don't. Because if I had a kid, my parents would absolutely know that they are going to respect me as a parent and my wishes. And they are not going to be indoctrinating my kid or berating my kid for not believing what they believe, or they just won't get to see their grandkid. I know that's incredibly tough to do. And I know that I'm someone without a kid, so it's easy for me to say. But I think before it actually gets to that point, there are good conversations to be had on setting up boundaries. What are you thinking, Darrel?
I absolutely agree. And Laura, you are not responsible for your parents. They are adults just like you are. I wrote an article on this last year on your responsibility, and your responsibility to take care of you and take care of your child. Whether your father has a heart attack or not, that is his problem. That is not yours. That sounds cruel. It sounds bad. But the fact is, you leaving their religion is your right. You don't need to stay chained to their religion so your dad doesn't have a heart attack. I mean, you don't know how many people have told me, if my parents found out I left, they would have a heart attack. Half the population on this country would be dead because of just because of that.
Yeah.
So do not take responsibility. Your parents are choosing to follow their particular ideology, the Baptist ideology. Don't take responsibility for supporting that. And don't let them do exactly what Matt said. Draw a clear red line boundary between you, your child, and them. They have no right to indoctrinate your children. And if they want to see your child, they need to respect you and respect that.
And if they can't do that, they aren't deserving. Yeah.
Exactly. They're taking advantage of the relationship. Yeah.
I apologize, Laura. I really got to go, but I'd love to hear from you again as this progresses and kind of what worked best for you, what you heard, how it went, because sometimes things don't nearly go as badly as we suspect. I expected some really bad things, and they didn't happen. And I know some people who expected the worst and actually got the best. I don't think that's likely to happen in your case based on what you've said. But I know Dan Barker convinced his parents to give up their religion. And I don't think, like I said earlier in another call, I don't think that's the goal necessarily, no matter how much we might want it to be. But getting your parents to understand that you are, how would they feel if their parents had a different religion than them and tried to keep stepping in on how to raise you?
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I'm in enough trouble for getting divorced and getting remarried, so we'll just see how this goes.
Oh, well, my gosh, you're just a harlot, aren't you?
I know. I've been through it. I have broken all of the rules, so this is only going to be one more step. So
good for you. Go break some more rules and enjoy life.
Thanks much, Laura. I've got to move on.
Okay, thank you guys very much.
Hang up on me, Laura. Enjoy it.
Okay,
just tell me I'm done.
Okay.
Oh, she said bye-bye.
So you're done. Bye-bye.
You're done. Bye-bye. She can't help but be nice.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Laura.
You got to work on your meanness, Laura.
Yeah. That's the way it goes.
Hello, sinners. It's me. And you're watching The Line. Hit that subscribe button and consider ringing that bell. Because if you do, an angel will get its wings.